The game of water polo is officiated by 2 referees who are assisted by a team of minor officials who support gameplay in a number of important ways. Minor official roles may vary slightly based on the equipment available and the host facility, but there are generally 5 responsibilities for the team of minor officials. 1. Game timekeeper. 2. Possession timekeeper, shot clock. 3. Exclusion secretary, penalty time, penalty tracking. 4. Game secretary. 5. Goal judge, 1 on each line. This tutorial will cover the role of the game secretary. Simply explained, the game secretary keeps a running log of all game events. Events include goals, exclusions, penalty fouls, timeouts, red-yellow cards, brutalities, and disqualifications. This information can be tracked by hand on a paper game sheet that looks like this. Or more simply, the information can be entered into a spreadsheet prepared to receive the specific data. The theory is the same. The paper game sheet, however, requires the secretary to enter some information in more than one area, where a macro-enabled spreadsheet can autofill after the information has been entered into one spot. Prior to each match, the game secretary must fill the game sheet in with relevant details like tournament or league name, date, teams playing, team rosters by cap number, coaches and assistant coaches' names, and cap color for each team. Most often in water polo, the home team wears blue or dark caps and the visiting team wears white or light caps. If using a spreadsheet, this information need only be typed in once per tournament. Then it can be copied and pasted into a new game sheet when the team plays again. If paper game sheets are used, each game sheet will have to be filled in manually each time. Here is what a game sheet will look like when it is fully prepared for the beginning of a match. Once filled in, each team's coach is required to review their rosters and ensure the proper names and cap numbers are recorded. They put their initials here to show they've read and agree the game sheet is accurate. Notice now there are 3 basic sections to the game sheet. 1. The team roster area where players' name and cap numbers are recorded, and the columns beside their names where goals, exclusions, and other major infractions are recorded. 2. The running log area where every game event is chronologically entered, along with the time it occurred. Every goal, major foul or infraction, timeout, red or yellow card, cap changes, and end of quarter is recorded in this game log section. It is not necessary to log minor fouls. 3. The team tracking area is where timeouts, red and yellow cards, and cap changes are logged for easy reference if needed. Of course, each side is relevant to the team listed immediately above. We will show game events being entered into a spreadsheet. If using paper, bear in mind the information will need to be first entered into the log. Do this first because you can always go back and fill the other sections when there is no game activity that requires your attention. Then, you'll have to enter goals and major fouls beside player names, and timeouts and yellow cards in the appropriate place for each team. Let's watch as a game sheet is filled in to show some typical game situations. First, the game information is added: date, tournament, referees, and other information. Rosters are added, one at a time, or copy and paste. Be sure rosters are lined up beneath the correct cap color for home and visitor. And the game begins. At 7:27, the referee calls an exclusion on number 7 from the blue team. Note, it's very helpful if one of the timekeepers calls out twice for all to hear. Number 7 blue, exclusion. 7:27. Number 7 blue, exclusion. 7:27. In the log, the game secretary can then input that information. First, the cap number is entered, then hit tab. Then cap color, in water polo B for blue, is used to designate all dark colored caps. W for white is used to indicate all light colored caps, and then tab. Then the event is entered, in this case E for exclusion, and tab. And finally, the game time can be entered without punctuation. Type in 7 to 7 and it shows up correctly as 727, and hit return. Notice now in the team roster section that a penalty has autofilled and is logged beside number 7, blue. That series of entries is identical for all events. Really, the only thing that changes is the event code. You will find reminders for these on top of the game sheet, but it's good to memorize this short and fairly intuitive list. G is a goal. E is an exclusion. P is a penalty. T, a timeout. Y, yellow card. R, red card. B is brutality. And D, disqualification. Some occasionally used additions are C, pound, equals cap change. SO equals shootout rather than G for goal. M equals miss for a miss in a shootout. Let's continue logging some game action to see each of these events used. In the first quarter of a game, 7 blue is excluded at 5:55. 7, B, E, 5:55, and return. During the man advantage, 9 white scores at 5:41. 9, W, G, 5:41, and return. 2 even strength goals are scored. 9 white at 3:33 and 8 blue at 3:19. Notice as the goals are scored, the score sheet automatically keeps a running tally of the total score and registers a goal beside the name of the scorer. A double exclusion is called. 5, B, E, 211. 3, W, E, 211. Each player has a major foul recorded beside their name. With 31 seconds left in the quarter, the white team coach calls a timeout. Instead of a cap number, we will use the identifier HC for head coach. AC is used for the assistant coach, but that should only be allowed if the head coach has been ejected from the game or if the assistant gets ejected. HC, W, T, 031. Look down at the bottom to see the timeout is recorded under the appropriate team. While tournaments often set their own rules for timeouts, typically a team is allowed only 1 per quarter. Note, at the end of a quarter, type an X in the game log and hit return. This will create a row of X's and make it easy to find where one quarter ends and the next begins. To start the second quarter, the white team announces a cap change. 1 for 4. 1, W, C12, 800. Early in the second quarter, the blue team coach is shown a yellow card. He complains further to the ref and is shown the red card. HC, B, Y, 722. HC, B, R, 722. Here is what a game sheet might look like at the end of 4 quarters of play. Number 7, blue, was excluded 3 times. The red box is a reminder to hold up the red flag so teams and officials know that 7 blue is excluded for the remainder of the match. Number 5, white, only has 1 major called against him, but it's D for disqualification at 4:45 of the 4th quarter, and he shows as red as well. Number 2, blue, received a brutality at 3:33 of the 3rd period. He too shows as red and is excluded from the match, and the team must serve a 4-minute exclusion that does not end if a goal is scored. The full 4 minutes must be served. Notice here, the game is tied at 7 goals each at the end of 4 quarters. In this case, the match is decided by a shootout. In a shootout, normally 5 players from each team are awarded 5-meter shots until there's a winner. In a shootout, each of the 5 players on both teams may get at least 1 turn to shoot. If the blue team makes their first 3 shots and the white team misses their first 3, then the shootout is over as white cannot catch up. If the match is still tied, the match is decided when one team misses a shot that the other team makes. In this case, each team missed once during the first 5 shots. Each team scored on their 6th attempt. And then the blue team missed its 7th shot and the white team scored. In the log, a shootout goal scored by number 4 white is written. 4, W, SO, 000. And a miss by number 5 blue is shown as 5, B, M, 000. The shootout goals count in the final score, which, in this case, is recorded as a 12-11 victory for the white team. At the end of the game, both referees must review the score sheet and sign off that they agree it is accurate. To better understand the game of water polo and all minor official rules, please be sure to watch all 5 tutorial videos in this series. These include Game Timekeeper, Possession Timekeeper, Exclusion Secretary, Game Secretary, and Goal Judge. Thank you.